What a beautiful day. What an amazing day. What a spectacular day. It's spring here in Canada, and guess what? The spring and summer tied together in this country is not more than 3 months. So we make the most of it. We hang out, we come out, we enjoy the sun, we check out the beautiful weather, we hang out in the grass, and that's exactly what I'm doing. But that's not what's on top of my mind. What's on top of my mind is the story of a beloved friend of mine. Is a story of a friend of mine who I grew up with, who I went to junior high school with whom I've spent many important and cherished hours of my life. And recently, this friend has taught me something which is amazing, which is inspiring, and which has led me to change my mindset and create more ownership of my own life. So this friend of mine, we grew up together. We used to play sports together all the time. I grew up in Pakistan, for those of you who don't know that. So we come from a very cultural background, if you want to call it that. And so what has happened, all of us have grown up, we've evolved, we moved to different places in the world. I'm here in Canada, and this person has this very great friend of mine who a few years ago, moved to States, and he lives in Illinois. And what this friend has done has inspired me, and I'm sure it's going to answer a lot of the questions that you guys have. And this is in regards to choosing your partner, choosing your spouse, who you marry with, who you hang out with. So there's this mindset that prevails in where I come from Pakistan, India, or from more cultural backgrounds, where parents have a strong influence in choosing who you marry, who you date, who you hang out with. And most of us who come from that background face this pressure all the time from our moms, from our dads, just the family pressure that you gotta marry, that you gotta date, that you gotta hang out with someone they like, right? I don't really believe in that, to be honest. And I'm sure a lot of people would not like me for what I'm saying, but the reason I'm making this video, and the reason we're gonna have an interview following this video, is to show you that there's another way, and you don't hurt anybody if you follow the other way. Rather, you can make yourself happy, and you can make everybody happy. So we'll bring you this interview, but this great friend of mine has stepped out of the box, have married a beautiful person out of his own will, and has stepped up, made a decision for himself to do whatever he wants. But when we do whatever we want, we also take a lot of responsibility. So people say, hey, when you get married according to your parents' wish or desires, they really watch out for you. They find the right person. They look at the family. I completely understand that. I respect that. I think it's amazing that parents are taking so much time from the culture I come from to find out the partner for this person. But there's something that's being not realized, is if the people who are involved are actually in agreement, and if they really like each other. And that creates a lot of problems later in the future. Now, if somebody like my friend has stepped up, taken ownership, and made a decision for themselves, they've done two things. First of all, they've taken ownership of their life. B, they have a bigger responsibility to make their relationship work, because everybody in their family and everybody around them is looking at them to see if they will be able to succeed or not. So when we make a decision for ourselves, we step up, we do something which nobody around us is doing, that takes more responsibility on us, which makes us to strive even harder. Hence, I hope you enjoy this interview. There are some very important questions and answers coming ahead, which will help you to take more ownership of your life. I'm in no capacity to tell you that you should marry on your parents' will or on your own will, but I'm just giving you a perspective from someone who's done something that many of us have feared to do, and step out of the box and taken a decision, and see what his perspective on life is. So I hope you really enjoy it. I'm going to see you very soon, and we'll be bringing a lot of amazing people into our show. I hope you enjoy. I hope you have a great day. Until next time. All right, welcome everybody. We have, as you can see, we have my dear friend Mehran Mustafa. Mehran and I, yes, hello Mehran. Mehran and I went to junior high school. For those of you who live in US and Canada, junior high school together. We went to elementary school together. We went to high school together. We spent a lot of time together, and For those of you who come from the subcontinent, as they call it, Pakistan or India, Mehran is a fabulous cricketer. He was the legend when we were in school. Everybody would look up to him. He was the captain of the school cricket team. But that is not the capacity we're going to talk. In regards to today, we're going to talk about something very different, what he has done recently. He lives in Carbondale, Illinois right now. And with that, I'll say welcome to the show, Mehran. Very pleased
Hi,
and very
hi,
honored to
so
have you here.
thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here as well.
Yeah, and we have a lot of memories going back to school, man. We had some
Oh
great
man.
times.
Oh yeah.
We teased a lot of teachers. We got into a lot of trouble, and you know what? Those troubles and all those memories, they just stay alive, right? I mean,
They-
all what we learned in school is gone. It's like those laughs are left.
oh yeah, but I mean the memories still last. I mean that's
Yeah,
how we remember. We don't really remember what we studied or what we
yeah,
did in classrooms,
yeah,
but what
yeah.
we did outside of them, we remember that, and that those are fond memories, of course.
Fond memories for everybody. Yeah, everybody
Oh yeah.
remembers that.
Oh yeah.
But you know, having said that, today, you know, so it's gonna be a bit of a preface I'll have to this video on talking about, you know, how I got to know you, what the video is all about, what the interview is all about. But today, what we've done is we prepared a few questions that we're gonna ask Mehran, because Mehran has done something that I feel a lot of individuals coming from countries where I come from, Mehran comes from, which is Pakistan or India, or more culturally dominant countries, uh, tend to have a problem, especially they're individuals, youngsters, people who are adults, just becoming adults. They face this problem and they don't deal with this problem. They rather suppress it. And a lot of them, not everybody, I would say, a lot of them ruin their life. And I've seen it very, very closely within my family, within other families, within friends. And so I reached up to Miran and I said, you know what, dude, you've done something spectacular. I looked at his pictures on Facebook. He recently got married, and I was like, you know what, you really stepped out of the box, and that calls that the world needs to know how you actually made it happen, because it's something amazing that somebody has stepped out. And I know him personally, so I said if he'll be willing to come and share some of his mindset. So I have a few questions from which I'm gonna go with. We have a few questions which are gonna motivate you, encourage you, and get to know Mehran and how he's made decisions. So if you want to make similar decision or any other decisions in life, you know how to deal with these situations. So the first one that comes up is, you know, Mehran, we would like to know what is your stance regarding, you know, children, young adults, if you want to call them that, forced into arranged marriages by their parents. And you know, what are some of the repercussions, what are some of the issues that arise because of such an arrangement?
Well, Suleman, the first thing I would like to point out here is that arranged marriage, for some, is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. Sometimes it is forced, but the question over here is that forced into arranged marriage. I would a little disagree with it, because then you give it a negative connotation to arranged marriage. Arranged marriage itself is not. I wouldn't go around bashing it because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't choose it. But
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of people, even my parents around me, who were arranged into a marriage,
Right.
and they're. I mean, it's been 30 years. They're married happily.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the arranged marriage problem. The
Mm-hmm.
problem over here is that yes, individuals are forced into it, and but for some, it's a choice,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of goes into a happy life as well.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at the alternative, like if it's not arranged, if it's like your own choice, if the marriage is of your own choice, statistics show that that also does not really, go all the way to the end as a happy marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it also fails.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no good or bad for arranged marriage or for your love marriage, as they say. There is no guarantee that you will end up happy. You
Mm-hmm.
have to work on it, of course. It
Mm-hmm.
requires work, and it requires a lot of thought process into it, and a lot of feelings into it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how you make any marriage, arranged or love marriage, into a successful marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as far as your question goes, the repercussions that arise due to the forced arranged marriage,
Mm-hmm.
of course, no one is happy. There is no happiness into it. The husband, the wife, they're both incompatible in most cases. And even if there is no compatibility issue, they still do not. They still have their own goals. They still have their own likes and dislikes in people, in things, in different situations of life. So they don't match up. They don't feel like they should be able to come close together. It may take some time. It may take a lot of effort, but uh, but it sometimes happens that it doesn't really work out, and then you have families involved in it as well, and because of that, there are other repercussions related to people outside your sphere, outside your personal sphere of husband and wife. There are your families involved. There is the wife's family involved. There are other people involved in that. There are friends involved, and it all in all, it creates black hole into which everyone is keep getting into it and not getting out of it, and they tend to be unhappy all over. There's general unhappiness. That's what I think, that if you are forced into a marriage, that kind of happens any. If you are forced into a love marriage, that happens with love. So that also, sometimes happens that, you take a decision too quickly, you took a premature decision, and now you're unhappy. And it was your own choice. You weren't forced into it by anyone else, by your parents or anyone else. That was your own choice, and you took the decision too early. You did not know each other too well, and now the repercussions are the same as the one which are like of the forced arranged marriage, and unhappiness all around.
Cool. No, that's a very interesting perspective, and coming from you, who's seen a successful, healthy arranged marriage in their house for 30 years, and then making that decision, that gives us such a good perspective. Awesome. So, what is your story of getting married? Would you like to tell us what's your story of getting married? Of course, you just shared that your wife is actually from Mexico, and not going to. I would like to call it this not so well respected path. Like in our society, it's not really looked up to. So, tell us your story. How you got married, you fell in love, and how did you go with this not so well respected path? And tell us about your story. How you moved from Pakistan to Illinois, and you got your master's, how all this happened in this period of time.
Okay, so, well, I was in Pakistan. I was working for an oil refinery for the past 4 years after I graduated in 2010, and I got this opportunity to do my master's from the U.S. and I had applied for a scholarship, because I mean, doing a master's from U.S. without a scholarship is quite difficult for a middle class person.
And especially as an international student, right? I mean, that's even more tough.
Of course, yeah, no doubt. So I got the Fulbright scholarship, and I moved.
Awesome.
And they placed me to this university, the Southern Illinois University here in Carbondale, and I basically moved here with a friend of mine over here. We met over Facebook, over Skype, and he told me to come here, and he had a space for me, and I was living with him for a good 1 year. And during that time, I met my wife, Laura. She was also a Fulbright scholar, so we were at the same gatherings, at the Fulbright dinner, or she was also international, so we had international events as well. So she used to come there, and I mean, we used to talk. We had a bunch of friends from Fulbrighter friends from other countries as well, and we had a whole group. And I mean, she and I, kind of clicked, and we started going out. We started hanging out together, and it turned out to be official. Then we were going out together. So it happened like in a matter of couple of months, I guess, that
Cool.
we made it official. That
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, we like each other. We like each other's company, so
Mm-hmm.
let's do it. Let's hang
Mm-hmm.
out.
Mm-hmm.
And well, after that, well, of course, I mean, in every relationship there are problems. There are like differences of
Mm-hmm.
opinion and everything, and we sorted out through through proper communication. We talked about each other's beliefs. We talked about each other's cultures, and
Mm-hmm.
each and everything. We didn't leave anything out. We put everything on the table and we discussed everything. And I mean, it's not that we sat one day and we discussed everything. It happened over the period of time. Any issue came up, we talked about it, and we sorted it out.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I mean, initially, to be honest, it wasn't. We didn't plan for it to go all the way
Mm-hmm.
towards marriage or anything, because my plan was to go back to Pakistan and continue my job over there, and not do go towards PhD or anything. I did not have any long-term plan.
Right.
And she also had that. She also knew about that. I mean, she was a PhD student, so she had to stay here 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she was. I mean, initially she was. Both she and I were okay with it. That okay, we'll have whatever time we have, we'll spend it together, and then
Mm-hmm.
call it off soon.
Cool.
But well, as time passed, the feelings kind of grew stronger, and
Mm-hmm.
we were inseparable, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Pakistan in April 2016,
Right.
and my parents, they did ask me, so you're here, so like in typical Pakistani household, that the son comes from abroad, and they're ready with a bunch of ladies lined up for him, that okay,
Proposals.
choose one,
Yes.
yeah, proposals, choose
Prospects.
one. And
Prospects.
yeah, prospects, yeah. And I was given the same thing as well. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
was like, okay, I came here just for a week, and now you want me to get, settled? What's happening? I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, sorry. They're like, okay, it's fine. If you don't like our proposal, it's fine. If you have anything, just tell us and we'll get it done. And I was like, no, I think you guys are not ready for that. I mean, I didn't tell them that, but I knew that, what my proposal, if I give my proposal to them,
Mm-hmm.
they won't take it too well right now at this present stage. So,
Right.
well, I came back. I talked to Laura, and we were like, it felt like, when I went to Pakistan, it was really hard for me to be away from her,
Mm-hmm.
and I just couldn't take it. I mean, it was really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard for her as well, because I mean, she was here all alone. And so what we decided, that I mean, we talked about this. We talked that, what if we get married? I mean, we talked about the repercussions of it, and
Mm-hmm.
how are we gonna settle it? How are we gonna make it work? Of course, I mean, not everything gets worked out at in a
Mm-hmm.
time. So we talked about about religion, about our culture, about
Right.
parents, about our habits and stuff like that. And well, to be honest, initially I did want her to convert to Islam, to make it easy for me,
Mm-hmm.
to convince my parents that okay, she became a Muslim, and it's all good and we can get married. I mean, my parents did have had no idea that what's going on up till now. So well, she did agree. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she did agree that okay, for the sake of your parents, I will
Mm-hmm.
convert to Islam. But then, I mean, I mean, I thought about it, and I thought about it on my own, that is it really fair to ask someone, to force someone to
Mm-hmm.
accept your beliefs, or think about your beliefs, just for the sake of marriage? I mean, can't people live together and have these differences?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, people live with differences, and they respect their differences, they respect their boundaries, and life goes on.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought about it, and we talked about it a lot. I mean, it took
Mm-hmm.
us a lot of time to, like, to come to a common ground, that this thing can work. And well, I told Laura as well, that how it is in Pakistan, and what my parents expect, and it was important for me that I take my parents along with myself with the whole decision, not like signal them out. So it was important for me, and I told her that, and she understood it. So I broke the news to my parents in summer of 2016,
Right.
and they were like, I was like, okay, mom, dad, I need to talk to you about something. And they're like, yeah, I know, we know. At this stage, what are you gonna talk about? I mean, you're like, calling us at 5 in the morning. So, what is it? And I'm like, mom, you asked me who I wanted to marry. This is the girl I want to marry. I mean, she had seen her in some of my pictures together, like in a pictures, but she did not know that this is going on. And the first question she asked me, is she a Muslim? And like, well, mom, that doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter to me that she's a Muslim or not. And went completely, she completely stonewalled me. And she's like, no, if she's not a Muslim, this cannot happen. My dad was like, no, she's not. The first thing you need is that she has to be a Muslim. Any girl you want to marry, she has to be a Muslim, and then we can move on from that. And I was completely broken. To be honest, completely shattered by their response. I thought that they're pretty open-minded people, and they're very understanding people. They would understand. They would think beyond this. And I knew my dad, my parents. I mean, we grew up in a Christian school. My mom has Christian friends all around her, Christian students all around her. My dad knows all about it, and my dad is working and helping marginalized people like these Christians who are pretty poor in our country, who have very difficult lives in our country. He's always helping them. So I was like, okay, man, my parents are pretty okay with all these things, so why not marry one? And well, it backfired. It backfired right in my face. And well, my dad, my parents, they got really concerned that they sent me here to study, and what am I doing here? I'm chilling with a girl over here who's not even a Muslim. So well, I mean, I hung up. I just told them, fine, I'll just, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'll just hung up. I went to Laura. I told her what happened. I honest to God, I completely, I cried the whole week. I was like, this is the end of the world, and this cannot happen to me. I thought that this is a done deal, and we had plans. We had made plans and everything, and it just backfired. And she was pretty strong about it. I mean, of course, she saw me crying. She saw me all over the place. I mean, so she comforted me, and she was like, if this is too much for you, I understand, and we should let go. And I was like, it was that time that I had to make the decision that I'm not doing anything wrong here. I'm at the right. My parents, my family is being unreasonable. So should I just let go of what I truly desire, of what I rightly desire, and just give in and be miserable the rest of my life? Because I mean, this is I know some people say that it's just been a year, and your parents brought you up for 28 years, and you're gonna like balance that out. What I tell them is that this year has been spent at a time when I'm completely aware of things, when I make connections with people with complete awareness and with complete feelings, and with mature feelings.
Right.
So you cannot really say that okay, when you were 5 years old, you met a girl who was and just in a year you became really good friends with her. You cannot, because you're just 5 years old.
Right.
You are not completely developed at that time. Your brain is not completely developed at that time. Right now, I'm fully developed. I'm a young adult. I'm 30 years old, and I know what's going on in my life, and I have all these experiences over here, and my experiences supersede your experiences. So when I say that this is right, so, and that means it is right.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own limited experience, and I respect that. I mean, I totally respect what their experiences are and how they were brought up and how they have led their lives. I mean, I've seen that firsthand, so I respect that. But the thing is, my life is different now,
Mm-hmm.
and I have a different set of rules. I have a different set of opinions. I have a different set of mentality now. So that's how we when I say that, I fell in love with her
Mm-hmm.
in a matter of a year. It depends that, which stage of life you are on. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
have you had experiences? Have you had, a maturity level? you
Mm-hmm.
know all this matters. So we kind of like, talked about this, and we broke it off for a while, but neither of us could stand the separation, the distance between us. So we were living in the same city. We were living just 2 blocks away from each other,
Mm-hmm.
and we thought that, just, hell with it. We'll continue. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved on. We moved on with our lives over here. I just kept it from my parents again. I was like, okay, fine, it's all over. And I stopped sharing pictures. I stopped, doing, I completely blocked them from my life, from my personal life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
whatever my life was, it was just, educational, and, whatever I was doing over here on my own, and nothing, I didn't share anything with them,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, I had to, like, put out the fires on both sides.
Right, right.
And then I mean, for me, it was like, like, for example, when you're in a fight
Mm-hmm.
and you get punched first time, you get
Mm-hmm.
the realization that you're not made of glass, and
Mm-hmm.
if nothing happens, you won't break. So this was the first punch I got.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, after a while, after a week of crying and moping about it, that, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I got the first punch. I'm not made
Mm-hmm.
of glass. I didn't break. So let's give it some time and talk to my parents after a while again, when everything is settled. And well, we continued our lives over here. I went to Mexico, and I met her family. They're awesome people. They're like, very, very loving people.
Yes,
And
they are.
they took me in without any questions of who you are or where
Mm-hmm.
you're coming from. They just, took me in. I lived at her house, and her mom treated me like her own son. I mean, I got breakfast every day. I got lunch, dinner, everything at her house, and I was living as as one of their family members over there. Their aunts, their uncles, they all, like, adored me over there, and I was like, um, well, they're not Muslims,
Yeah.
so what's the big deal over here? Why do we
Right.
need to be Muslims to
Mm-hmm.
be good to each other? So all that mentality, all that thing changed in me, and I did not abandon my religion. I explored it more. I went deeper. I was like, where I refuse to believe that, that this is the Islam I've been taught. I refuse to believe that, Islam has some problem in it. So I explored it more. I went deeper. I focused my attention towards specific problems I was having, and I figured out that, there is a huge gap between our culture and our religion.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a light bulb in my head that, okay, uh, culture is not same as religion. I'm following my religion. Culture, you are not defined by culture. You define the culture.
Totally.
Culture does not define you.
Totally.
Culture has nothing to do with who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You, as a person, define your own culture and your own boundaries and your own set of rules, and you do it every day. But once you see other people in your own culture, and you see other people around you, you get weak, and you say, okay, fine. I mean, I shouldn't do that. This is not my culture. But, you gotta define your own set of rules.
True.
So
Dude, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. You've shared so much wisdom in the last 5 minutes that I want to appreciate that, and I want to recap. One from what I'm hearing is, it's not just like you hung out for a year and then you got married. It's like there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of logic. It's not like, oh, I'm in love, I'm feeling emotional, let's get married, let's do this. No, there's a lot of thought, there's a lot of thinking process, there's a lot of logic, and it looks like it's not looks like it's very evident that you've done a lot of homework to see how you're going to make this relationship work. You looked at compatibility. Very, very important. I think that's one thing people need to take from this, that this is not an emotional high that resulted in a marriage between two cultures. There's a lot of thinking and logic, and there's a lot of fight that you had to do, she had to do, to make this work. And to summarize all what you said, you've become a changed person. I can see, like, me and you have hung out like many, many years ago, of course, and I've seen you on Facebook all along. But in the last 2 years, I see that in you, that you're a changed person. You're defining your own culture, you're defining your own set of rules. I think everybody needs to take responsibility, because people have become so weak that they just adhere to what the society says just because it's
Yes.
easy, rather than sitting on their butt and thinking, what works for me as a person, what am I comfortable with, right? People
Yes.
are just
Yes.
lazy, and they come in this world and they die, right?
Exactly. The thing is, what I wanted to share over here as well, that in our culture, we tend to idolize. I say idolize with IDOL.
Mm-hmm.
Idolize our parents.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to idealize our parents. Our parents are ideal for us,
Mm-hmm.
and we gotta give them the credit that, yes, they are humans,
Mm-hmm.
and they can make mistakes, and they have made their
Mm-hmm.
own set of
Mm-hmm.
mistakes, and they're humans, and they are gonna make mistake, and when they
Of
make a
course.
decision for you, it can be wrong as well.
Totally.
You cannot just say that, for fine, they're elders, they know better than me, and whatever they think about me, they have good intentions. Yes, they have good intentions, but intentions are not gonna, like, be okay for you as in a real world. I mean, yes, they can have good intentions, but their actions might affect you in a negative way, because you have a different life, you have a different take on the life, you have a different experience of life.
Mm-hmm.
So when I say that, I disobeyed my parents when they said that don't marry her or don't go towards this, I took it as, that, this is my life. What is best for me right now is, who know, I know that what is best for me. I am the only person who knows best what is best for me. My parents may have good intentions. I respect that, but I would respectfully convey my set of thinking as well to them, that, you gotta listen to this. You gotta be reasonable over here. Yes, most of the time they don't listen. They
Mm-hmm.
have their own ego. They have their own upbringing. I mean, yes, they're old, so yeah, you cannot hammer your own set of rules into their lives. I mean,
True.
that cannot happen. You
True.
cannot change them. You
True.
cannot change. They are who they are now.
You know
So
what? I'm really excited that we're having this discussion, because I've got myself into similar situations with my parents. A lot of my friends have. Most of my friends have actually not taken action, unlike you. I think you are the only person I know who's taken action. And so this is all just very, very fruitful. This is all very transformational, not only for myself but also for the people who are going to watch it, because I'm sure it's going to create inspiration in at least one person to take step today, and that's all what we're looking for.
well, I mean, my take wasn't, when I took this step. My At that time, it wasn't that, I'm gonna inspire a lot of people by taking this step. It was very personal for me. It was
Hmm.
very, very, very personal for me, that I take this step and then live with the consequences as well. That, what my thought process kind of changed was that, in a way that, you take a decision and then you make it right. Then you
Hmm.
don't let it go. Now,
Hmm.
you've taken the decision, and now you're backtrack from it, and that's not who I am. I mean, there are people that may do it, but I mean, that's not me.
Hmm.
Now I take a decision, and now I work on it to make it right, and I do not stop until I make it right. Even till now, my parents, my family is a little hesitant. I mean, they
Hmm.
are still a little hesitant. I mean, some of my wider family,
Mm-hmm.
they are completely they have completely, abandoned me or like disowned me from the
Disowned,
family.
yeah.
But I don't really care. I mean, you gotta pick your fights. You gotta pick
Yeah,
your
yeah.
battles at a particular
Yeah.
time. You
Yeah.
cannot just, round up everyone and say, okay, fine, I'll make right things right. At all of them right at the same time. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
do. You gotta pick your battles. You gotta move from one step to another, and that's how I did it.
Awesome. Cool. Interesting. Interesting. So now we're gonna go to the third question, which is, when adults are making decision, what do you think is the biggest fear that is holding them back? And I'm sure you've had similar fears, or maybe it was one fear or a multitude of them. How did you conquer that fear?
Well, there is no logic behind conquering the fear.
Mm-hmm.
There is no logic.
Mm-hmm.
All As a Muslim,
Mm-hmm.
all I had was faith,
Mm-hmm.
faith in my Allah,
Mm-hmm.
that when you do something right,
Mm-hmm.
when you take a step to do something right, it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Doing something right is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Choosing the right path is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, that uh, to be honest, what I had was only faith that I gotta. This is the step I'm taking,
Mm-hmm.
and it will work out.
Mm-hmm.
I blocked all the negatives, not just the faith, but I had worked it out with my soon-to-be wife as well at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it also depends on your partner, like
Mm-hmm.
how good of a partner you have, how understanding she is. I mean, for example, I give all the credit to my wife over here, and how she held all her emotions, and she still stuck with me,
Mm-hmm.
and she was still with me through all this bullshit. And
Mm-hmm.
I gotta give all the credit to her, because I mean, anyone else would have said, this is not worth it. This is not worth my
Yeah.
time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not working out. This requires too much effort. So, and if there was a little morsel of, like, doubt in each other's hearts, we would have just said, this is not worth it. I mean, come on. I
Right.
mean, we did talk about it. I mean, Laura did say that, do you really think this is worth it?
Mm-hmm.
That, do you have the slightest, even if you have the slightest hesitation, don't take the step. And I was like, this is the right thing. This is the right thing, and I'm gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need your support with me. And I had 200% support from her side. And I mean, who wants to come into a family? Who wants to be a part of the family where you are not liked? I mean, where you are not liked just because you're not of the same faith. But
Mm-hmm.
she overlooked all that,
Mm-hmm.
and she was like, you are for me, and I am for you, and let's do this. And that's how we conquered our fear, by supporting each other, by having faith in each other, because what else is there if there's no faith? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a logic can go up to a certain extent,
True.
and then you gotta take a leap of faith. And that's how I personally did it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And I think you've answered my question. My next question was around responsibility that one faces when they start making decisions for themselves. And I think you've alluded on it already, saying how much work it is, how much effort it is, and you got to be accountable. You got to be responsible. And you actually said it very coherently that once you stepped up, made a decision, then you had to start making things right, and that's where the responsibility comes in, right?
Actually, the thing is, you have to be sure as well that you love the person.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be with that person your whole life,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, you cannot just say, okay, fine, I took the decision and I'm making it right, and I made it right, and then you make everything right around yourself, like your family is okay, and everyone's okay around you, and you in your own heart start to
Mm-hmm.
falter a little, that oh no, what did I do? Am I really happy with her? I mean, if you think that it's gonna go that way, don't,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing you can do to anyone. that you brought them to your family, you got them okay, you got them everything, everything jolly, and then you start, growing apart. You gotta be very sure about this, because this is a very big decision, because there is no, I mean, you are marrying on your own with a very huge responsibility on your own self, that uh, uh, you are disobeying your parents, you're getting out of your country, you're getting out of your culture, there is nothing in common between you two, and you take this step. So you gotta be extremely sure that, and then you gotta take that decision. Then that's the motivation you get by from to make things right. You have the love in your heart. That's gonna motivate you. That's gonna motivate you to make everything right with everyone. Because I had love for my parents. I had love for Laura. I had to bring both of them together, because
Together.
yeah, I couldn't be without one, and with the other at the same time. I had to bring them both together. It took a lot of time though.
Awesome. I'm sure a lot of time, a lot of effort, which, and so you're talking about parents, and you were talking about how you brought everybody together. So very specifically, how did you create a buy-in from your parents? As initially you had mentioned, they weren't very pleased with this decision. How did you create that buy-in that you got them on your side too eventually? Because I think that's the biggest challenge people face.
Yeah,
Like, okay, I know what the problem is. How can I solve it now? How can I
exactly.
address it and solve it?
Well, buy-in, yeah, that's a good word. But um, for me personally, there was no buy-in. For
Okay.
me, it was just that I kept on taking some, small decisions, and I kept on implementing them, and I kept on telling them, this is happening. Whether you like it or not, this is happening, but I want you here. I want you with me. That's why I am sharing all this with you. That's why I am coming to you all the time, because I love you, and I want you in my life, and I want you to be appreciate this. I want you to appreciate that, I am coming to you, that I haven't completely abandoned you and said that, one day I come back home and I say, here, this is your daughter-in-law over here, and I married. Now, I didn't do that as well. I kept you in the loop. I respected whatever you said. I rebutted it with a reasonable explanation. And you got to see reason now. I mean, I am giving you all the reasons. I'm giving you all the explanations that I have. And well, in the end, the thing is that, they love me. I'm their eldest son. I'm their most favorite child, I guess. So that kind of factors in this, factors in as well. That, yes, he's our child. We gotta listen to him. We gotta, because there is no like, buy-in, like, formal buy-in that, I can give them a certain a surety or anything like that. I mean, it's my life. You gotta let me live my life. Otherwise, you're gonna crush me, and I'll be miserable. I'll blame you for my misery. So you don't want that.
Totally.
You want both the parties happy. Just be accepting of this fact that this is happening.
True.
So yeah, they weren't okay with it for a while. Even when I got engaged, they were like, just think about it, just think about it. Because, I mean, yes, I understand that where they were coming from. They had to answer a lot of questions to their whole family as well.
True.
I mean, they also got cut off from plenty of people. And what I have learned from this experience is that only the people who truly love you, who truly respect you, and they will stick with you no matter what.
True.
If the people around you who do not respect you, and the respect is only on the surface or just below the surface, they're just gonna bolt right at the first sign of trouble, or right at the first sign of difference. I don't say trouble. I mean, this is not. This is not trouble. This is a difference of opinion.
True.
I mean, if they cannot respect that, if they cannot live with that, you gotta go. I mean, you have
True.
no part in my life. You have no space in my life.
So you know what
Even
I'm hearing
my
is
close. Yeah.
what. Sorry, I'm interrupting you, but what I'm hearing is two important things. The first thing is you got to stand up for what you believe in, and when you make major life changing decisions, people are gonna leave you. You'll
Yeah.
have to cut people from your life. It's gonna happen. This is how life goes.
Yes. Yes. And only the people who truly respect you, they will remain with you, and those are the people you want in your life for if you want a happy life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the people who are around you are only happy with you because you are, acceptable to them,
Mm-hmm.
and by being someone who you're not, then I mean you're not happy. You are happy only when you are true to yourself. And once you are true to yourself, if they do not like that, then they can, just take their everything, and they can go and live their own life, and I'll
Live their
live
own
my
life.
own. Yeah,
True. True.
exactly. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
Good.
The first thing that initially I said that, once you take a punch and you're not made of glass,
Mm-hmm.
this is how you know that, this is the result of that. That it's not it doesn't matter if your uncle doesn't talk to you, or if your uncle's uncle doesn't talk to you, or if your dad's cousin doesn't talk to you, if your second cousin doesn't talk to you. It's fine. The people around you who talk to you, just cherish them. And
Mm.
just be, even if they're less, even if they're, if you don't know, if your social circle has dwindled, it doesn't matter. It has become stronger.
True.
And it you cannot, I mean, I you gotta be very thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you gotta see that, your circle has dwindled, but it has become stronger, and you have become more close to all those people around you. Before that, you had no idea, I mean, for example, with my dad, I mean, all the discussion we had before this was all educational, or how you are, what did you eat, and what did you study, and how are your studies going, and this and that. And now the discussion has completely changed. Now it's like, what are you guys doing, where are you guys going? And it's all aside the education, like it was before. It was all education, that, how are your grades coming up, and how are your,
Mm-hmm.
how are your projects going, and this kind of questions. And now it's completely different, like, what did you guys do together, or did you guys go somewhere together? How
Mm-hmm.
is her family, how is them, how is that, it's
So
completely
more deeper,
changed.
deeper, a
It's more
deeper
deeper, the
relationship,
bond has
right?
become deeper.
Deeper.
Yes.
So people have left your life, but the people who've stuck in and stayed, now things are much stronger with them, right? Things are much
Yes.
stronger, and that's what you
Yes.
need in life. Awesome.
Yes.
Pretty
Yes.
cool. Awesome. Interesting. Inspiring for sure. Inspiring. So, you've answered the last question we've talked about in well detail. Now, was there any emotional blackmail? Cause I've seen in my family that I got a lot of emotional blackmail. I know at one point in my life I became very religious. The other point in my life I was not religious at all. I was doing a lot of crazy things, which I'm still a little bit doing right now, but too outrageous. And both the times, because I was going outside that defined path, I was getting a lot of emotional blackmail from everywhere around everyone, including close friends, close family, immediate family, distant family, you name it. How did you deal with, first of all, did you have to face it?
Of
And
course.
second, how did you deal with it? Because that's, I think, one thing that kills everybody when they're emotionally blackmailed by people.
Well, yes. So first of all, yes, I did face a lot of blackmail from all quarters of my life. I mean, from my grandma, from my mom, from my dad, my sister, my mamu, my chacha, everyone. So what the common thing was, my dad, for example, okay, leave your family, but don't leave your religion. Please don't leave your religion. And I was like, religion is extremely personal to you. Religion is the way of life. Yes, it's a way of life for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you cannot just go on and impose, or even tell anyone that, you got to do this way, or this is not the right way to do it. You do not know anything about that person. You do not know anything, their thought process, anything, their intentions behind doing those certain things, whatever they do. So how can you, I read about all of this and I thought about all of this. I was like, Allah has not given the human any permission to judge the other person. Only He has the power to judge you. I mean, I'm still a spiritual person. I'm still a person of religion, of Islam, and all my explanations or all my thought process revolves around that. And for me, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of logical sense that yes, I mean, it cannot be right. Whatever they're saying, whoever is saying, they're wrong and I am right. And religion is based on your interpretation of it.
True.
Whatever your interpretation, you cannot tell the other person that, my interpretation is better than yours, or
yeah.
your interpretation is better than mine. I mean, what I read in the Quran, it affected me in a different way, and I am only answerable to my Allah and not to anyone else.
True.
So emotional blackmail, yes, I heard a lot my mom saying that, we brought you up and you are gonna leave all your learning and you're just gonna go because you met a girl and you're just gonna go and leave everything for her. I'm like, I'm not leaving anything. I still pray 5 times a day. I still fast 30 days in Ramadan. I still go to the mosque. I still go to, I still do all those things which you consider being a Muslim you have to do. And I still do those things with all my belief. And I've talked to Laura about this and she appreciates that. And I do that. Maybe she does. She's not religious. I mean, she's totally not religious. And, but she's pretty spiritual. She does not follow a particular, as they say, what's the word? What's the word? Traditional religions.
Okay.
Or, Islam, Christianity, Judaism, whatever. So she's pretty spiritual though. So I respect that, and I understand what her beliefs are, and I respect the boundaries, and she respects my boundaries, and we live our life. We live our spiritual or our beliefs in our own way. That does not intersect our our daily routine or our daily life. It shouldn't, because this is extremely personal to you. True. Whatever your beliefs are extremely personal to you. So that's what I try to communicate to my family as well. I mean, to my immediate family, not to anyone who came to me with this, with this taunt or with this prodding that, what are you doing? This is not Islam. This is this and this is that. I did not get into a discussion with everyone because I as I said earlier, you got to pick your battles. You cannot, it's going to exhaust you. You're just going to be involved in these battles and you won't be able to focus on your life. You got to talk about these things only with people you care about. And I only care about my parents. I wanted my parents to know these differences, these concepts. My parents, my brother, my sister, I went on extremely long discussions with them on these concepts that you got to understand this, and that's what mattered to me. And if anyone else, my grandma, my distant cousin, my uncle, my dad's cousin, they don't understand this, beat them.
To each their own, right? It's like
to each their own. That's what your religion says as well. You
totally.
you follow your own, I follow my own.
Exactly.
And I mean, we have made our religion extremely hard on ourselves as well.
True.
I mean, there is no compulsion in religion. There is nothing in the religion which compels you to do with something. It is your own choice. Allah has given you the free will. You have been given the free will to follow whatever path you want. And no one is there to judge you. Only Allah and you and Allah. That's all. That's where we have gone wrong. We start pointing fingers because people are different from us. We cannot bear the difference. And even within our own community, even within the Islamic community, we cannot bear the difference. If someone is praying in a different way,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta tell them that you gotta pray like that. You shouldn't be doing like this. You gotta do it properly like this, and
Mm-hmm.
put the arms around here and the right over the left and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
You are making your bubble smaller and smaller for yourself, and you're gonna get squished into it, and you're
True.
not gonna be liberated by it.
Cool.
So religion was to liberate you, and you have made it very difficult for yourself.
True.
So that was my whole thought process through all of this, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
I reasoned with myself when they were emotionally blackmailing me that
Mm-hmm.
this is not how it is.
How it
So
is.
I wasn't made of glass, so I knew that if I can talk to them, it's not gonna matter. It's just gonna go in a positive direction. I have to work in that way.
Mm-hmm.
So people who have these fears of not talking to each other, of not talking to their parents, or of not talking out of these boundaries, well, they still have this feeling that they're made of glass, and if they talk, they get a punch and they'll be broken, and and the world will end or something like that. It's not like that. You gotta step out. You gotta gauge your surroundings, and you gotta be reasonable. And that's what Allah has given us. He has made you into a reasonable person, into a reasonable being, and act like one. Then, so that's all I have to say about that.
Cool. No, interesting. Awesome. Very different and unique. And I relate to this perspective a lot, to be very honest with you. And with this, we're gonna wrap up and ask you one last question before we let you go. I know this is the weekend. You have a lot of important things to do. There are a lot of imminent tasks standing in front of you. So we'll wrap up with this last question. What advice do you have for people who are in your shoes? So I can assure you right now there are so many people in your shoes, because I know I was at some point in my life, and I talk to a lot of people, and tons of people are in your shoes. I mean, or were in your old shoes. Now you've actually jumped over the fence and you're on the other side. And these people are very scared. So what suggestion or what advice do you have for this? If you were to give a 1 to 2 minute advice to these people, a very articulate advice, what would be those words of wisdom so they can actually, take some action and change their life?
Well, I'm just gonna summarize what I said is that you are not made of glass.
Mm-hmm.
The other person is not made of glass.
Mm-hmm.
You are reasonable human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, reason sometimes go out of the window,
Mm-hmm.
but if you are really passionate about taking that step, then you got to bring that reason back into the window. It is your responsibility to talk, and otherwise it's going to be a very miserable life. It depends. I cannot really make a decision for someone or tell someone to make the decision or whatever. I mean, I understand that they are in my shoes,
Mm-hmm.
but their lives are completely different from mine.
Mm-hmm.
They have completely different set of beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, what I sum up to is that if you talk, the world won't end.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't go your way, you
Mm-hmm.
still talked. You still talked about it,
Mm-hmm.
and you put it out into the real world. It's not just inside of you.
Mm.
So the worst thing is that you keep it inside of you, and it keeps killing you because you do not know what actually the repercussions are. It is just your imagination that's working on you.
Mm.
And you just keep on and keep on thinking and overthinking, and if you just put it out there,
Mm-hmm.
you just take the leap of faith. Even if you have faith, if you take the leap of faith and just put it out there, you'll see that you're not made of glass, and you won't break, and the other person won't completely break either. Yes, there will be initial resistance. There will be initial mourning or moping or whatever, but it always passes.
Awesome.
Time heals everything. So, just give it time, give it some thought, and just put it out there and then see what happens. You cannot just make a decision off off of your own imagination, and not because the other person has their own, whatever they are thinking, whatever their thought processes. You do not know that. So just put it out there and
Put it out
see
there.
what happens then.
Self-expression, right? From what I'm hearing is you have to express yourself. You can't
Yes.
keep things inside. Very
Yes.
important. All right, brother. Thanks for your
Thank you
time.
so
You took a precious hour out of your busy weekend. You took time from your family,
pleasure.
from your wife, from the hobbies that you indulge in. More importantly, your very challenging schoolwork. So I appreciate that, and we will keep in touch. And I look forward to collaborating more with you and bringing. Because I think in this one
Inshallah.
hour we haven't covered all the content, so we'll bring you
Oh,
more,
not at
more.
all.
Yeah, there's a lot. I hear there's a lot more. We'll have to do these a lot more sessions in the future. But for today, we'll call it the end. Thanks for your time. I appreciate that, and you
Thank you
have
so
an
much.
amazing weekend.
You
And
too.
say hi to your wife for me, okay?
Inshallah. Thank you so
Take care,
much. Have
brother.
a good day. Bye bye. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.